Live from the Ken and Valerie Baker studio at WHYY, this is Studio 2.
It is Wednesday, November 26th, Thanksgiving Eve. Here. Welcome into the program. I'm Cherry Gregg.
And I'm Avi Wolfman-Aaron.
So as I mentioned, tomorrow is Thanksgiving Day. And Maya Angelou once said, be present in all things and thankful for all things. And one of our traditions, Avi, is my dad's Reverend Ray Gregg. Shout out to Daddy. He always says the family prayer. Then we go around and everybody has to say what they're thankful for. But our family takes it very seriously. You have to say what you're thankful for and you have to explain why. And so many times.
What happens if you don't take it seriously? You don't get any food?
But people do, because the people who start
no one ever had to bring the hammer down. Some jokester.
The people who started are the people going to take it serious. And then by the time it gets to
Does
you.
the Rev kick it off?
Kinda. Yeah. And
that sets the tone.
And to hearing from the little ones, so cool. Hearing, and they have to explain why. And then sometimes you end up crying because you realize that auntie or somebody had a struggle that you didn't even know about. And so this year, like part of what we do here at Studio 2 is we have a tradition now where we talk about the gratitude attitude and we speak to you, our listeners, and we want you to share what you're thankful for today. And this has become, like I said, a Studio 2 tradition where we focus on gratitude ahead of the holiday. We have two positive psychology experts who are coming with us, James and Suzann Pawelski. They're back again. But this is really about you, our listeners. We want to know, what are you grateful for this year? And if you're having some struggles, maybe you've been through some things, maybe you lost someone that you care about. If you want to share what you're struggling with to find that gratitude attitude, you can call us as well. The number is 888-477-9499. The email is studio2@whyy.org. And if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you could share what you're grateful for in the chat. And I'm grateful for so many things, but I live, in gratitude. I'm a positive.
It's not just a one day a year thing for you.
It's every day.
No, we did like Cherry said, we did this show last year where we kind of just put it out to you. We asked you what you're grateful for, what you're thankful for, and so many of you called in and wrote in, and it just made the hour
so
amazing.
Wonderful. Yes.
And we were just like, let's try to do it again, because when we opened up the phones, you guys responded. So it's basically, it's on you. Hate to put the pressure on you there, but we just want to hear from you. What are you thankful for? What are you grateful for? And as many of those comments and calls as we can jam into the hour today, that's what we're going to do. 888-477-9499. Get on the phones right now. Email studio2@whyy.org. YouTube, Facebook, drop a comment in the chat. First, a trio of local news stories.
And you're kicking us off today, Avi.
I am thankful for the news trio. I enjoy starting the show this way. So earlier this week.
Yeah.
Cases against Letitia James and James Comey were dismissed because a federal judge said that the prosecutor in those cases, Lindsay Halligan, was illegally installed. Now, in New Jersey, very similar dispute going on about the appointment of that state's U.S. Attorney, Alina Habba, who was never confirmed by the Senate. And now in Delaware, and this has gone somewhat under the radar, a similar situation is playing out. Great story by our own Chris Barish here at WHYY. He got a quote from a Delaware Senator Chris Coons, who told him that the appointment of Julianne Murray as Delaware's acting U.S. attorney is, quote, probably illegal. Murray was installed on an interim basis in July. You can only be an interim U.S. attorney for 120 days. That time has expired, and yet the administration is attempting a maneuver to keep Murray in the top prosecutor role. Murray is a Trump loyalist who until very recently chaired the Delaware GOP. There has been no formal challenge brought against her appointment, but Coons, as you can tell, is clearly unhappy about her installation and the fact that there was never any sort of confirmation process through the U.S. Senate.
Yeah, and I want to say this, process matters, okay? Because under the U.S. Constitution, people appointed to head Justice Department roles must be nominated by the President of the United States and confirmed by the U.S. Senate. Their terms are for 4 years. And there is a reason for this, right? And we want to make sure that justice is carried out fairly and equally across our nation. And we want to make sure that the people who are appointed to these roles are actually qualified. So the president has a majority in the Senate. If this person is qualified, why not follow the process? And I think Senator Coons is correct for saying, hey, we follow the Constitution in this country. You need to do it the right way. And what's wrong with the process?
Yeah. And
what's wrong with the process?
And to be clear, like in the story that Chris wrote, the senator actually never made any specific allegations about Murray's qualifications. Nope. Never said that she would be bad at the job. In fact, kind of said it was a pretty tame comment about how she might actually be doing a decent job. But he's like, look, I got to stand for the process and keeping the process intact. Yeah. And if you're going to try to make an end run around the Senate here in Delaware, New Jersey, and elsewhere, like, I'm not going to stand for it. So that's kind of
and
what
they have
his
the
logic
majority.
was.
So, if you have the majority in the Senate, what's the problem? This person could be confirmed, right? So just follow the process.
And the other issue here, of course, is that we don't know what will happen to the prosecutions or the cases that these attorneys are involved in, whether they could be dismissed by higher courts, because you can appeal and say, like, the person who prosecuted me was not properly installed. They didn't have the power to do what they did. And that's an additional complication here. And it's all very, 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 very messy.
Yeah.
But it's ongoing. And we wanted to highlight this case in Delaware because it hasn't gotten very much attention. Go ahead. Yeah. Story number 2.
PennDOT is planning to install a 258-foot pedestrian bridge that'll link South Street to the Philadelphia waterfront in just one night. They're going to do this literally in just a few hours.
They're going to put a bridge up in one night.
In one night.
I would watch this. They need a live cam for this
They
thing.
really do. They're going to do it overnight, though. It's going to be dark, but hopefully they'll do this. Well,
we got infrared cameras, yeah.
Let me explain. So today, if you were to try to cross the South Street pedestrian bridge, you'd have to walk down a set of stairs and use a crosswalk to cross Columbus Boulevard. But this will all change. PennDOT is extending the bridge diagonally to create a direct path for people to walk or cycle over the Columbus Boulevard area. And the bridge extension will have an arch that will rise 100 feet into the air, easily making it a new Philadelphia landmark. So here's how they're going to do this. In March, PennDOT will begin assembling this cable-tied arch section of the bridge in a parking lot beside I-95 below South Street. The structure will include a series of cables. It'll have a removal deck pan that they'll pour concrete in once they set it up.
I got no idea what this
and
is.
Then
there's engineers out there. Does this make sense?
In June, they're going to pile it all onto some trucks.
Okay.
And within just 4 hours, they're going to assemble the thing over Columbus Boulevard.
Takes me longer to put IKEA furniture together.
When you wake up, it's going to be like, bam.
That's cool.
100-foot arch.
It still won't be open, though. They're not actually going to open it till 2027. But
they got to set up the cables. They got to make sure everything holds up.
Yeah. You don't want to do the first person across. No, but that's cool though. So this is going to allow people to cross over the boulevard. And
it's going to be really cool.
And I-95, all part of this larger plan to connect Old City with the waterfront.
And it's pretty.
And I agree with you. I think this will become a Philadelphia landmark, a big arched bridge over 95 right in the center of town. We're going to have a name for it. I think it's going to be a thing. It looks very
definitely going to be a thing because we love to be able to walk places in Philly. And this is all a part of the master plan to sort of link the waterfront with the rest of the city. And they're making that cap over 95. And this is part of that whole remaking of the waterfront.
And the renderings look dope.
They do.
Love a good rendering.
It's pretty.
All right. Story number 3. Thanksgiving used to be the day for big local high school football rivalry games, but that tradition may be dying.
Oh.
According to the Inquirer, just 10 games are planned Thursday in southeastern Pennsylvania, down from 28 in 2005. The Inky wrote specifically about the annual Turkey Day game between Central High School and Northeast High School in Philadelphia. That game dates back to 1892. It's still happening, but attendance is anemic, and even the trophy given to the winner is starting to fall apart.
Poor trophy.
And I think, just a little history side note here, I think people would be astounded at how big high school football used to be on Thanksgiving in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Here's a copy of the front page of the Philadelphia Evening Bulletin, Thanksgiving 1937, and there are several above-the-fold stories about major high school football games. In 1937, more than 100,000 people attended high school football games on Thanksgiving in Philadelphia. The big games drew 10,000 fans or more, which was double or triple what the Eagles were drawing. The Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, high school football used to be way above pro football, And it's declined for several reasons, one of which is television. You can watch pro football more easily now.
Be warm in the house.
Can be warm in the house. Obviously, the NFL dominates now on Thanksgiving. But it is sort of a sign of the times that these Thanksgiving Day games, which used to be a huge deal, are almost irrelevant now.
And by the way, can we talk about that trophy? The little tail
Yeah.
is falling off the back of the trophy. And, that's real sad. They got to fix the trophy if they want to at least rejuvenate
fix the trophy.
it.
But
and
it is a
then
sign
there
of the
used to be
times.
parades, too. There used to be parades, and those died off. Sign of the times.
Total sign of the times. The high school football as a spectator sport in this part of the country really just is not what it used to be. We're thankful for the Eagles, though, and for pro football and other things. And we'll talk about it on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere. Studio 2.
Welcome back to Studio 2 here on WHYY. I'm Cherry Gregg.
And I'm Avi Wolfman-Arendt. A lot of us will gather around the dinner table tomorrow and do a little ritual where we all say what we're thankful for. And in Cherry's family, it's a big deal.
We take it seriously, yes.
And it's a beautiful thing. But let's be honest, for a lot of us, it's a little bit perfunctory. Everyone kind of just wants to get it over with, start eating, right?
Yeah, that's what they want to do. So how do we take a beat this holiday season and actually express gratitude? How do we appreciate the world around us, even in tough times? Well, last year on the show, we did just that, and we did it with your help.
We asked what you were thankful for. You wrote in, you called in, and it was just lovely, and it was
beautiful.
healing. And so we decided, let's try to make this an annual tradition on Studio 2. So today's show is really all about you. What are you thankful for? However big or small, serious or silly, what are you thankful for? Last year, I think we had an 8-year-old that called in.
I know.
Was thankful for breakfast food.
Which I love, by the way.
Which, if you're 9 years old now, you can call in again. 888-477-9499 is the number. The email is studio2@whyy.org. YouTube, Facebook, drop a comment in the chat.
And just like last year, we have 2 experts with us in studio to guide the conversation. They didn't know till today they were part of the tradition. We have James Pawelski, a professor and director of education at the University of Pennsylvania's Positive Psychology Center. We also have Pileggi Pawelski, author of Happy Together and Love in Your Golden Years. Welcome back to Studio 2.
Terrific to be back. Thank
so
you.
happy to be here. Thank you.
And Susie and James, we should mention we have a surprise for our callers today. If you get on the show and you share a really good story about what you're grateful for, you two said you wanted to give away 10 copies of your newest audiobook, Love in Your Golden Years. So get those calls in, pour your hearts out, and then read away.
And by the way, I'm going to give the number again, 888-477-9499. The email is studio2@whyy.org. What are you grateful for? We have Florence from Bryn Mawr on the line. We're going to kick it off with Florence. Florence, you're on Studio 2. What are you grateful for?
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I am grateful, incredibly grateful, for my husband of 41 years and our 5 adult children, our 5 daughters and sons-in-law, and our 9 healthy grandchildren. And all 20 of them will be with me tomorrow.
Oh,
Wow, that
Love
sounds
it.
beautiful. Thank you so much, Florence from Bryn Mawr. And so, since
That's a lot of people to
that's
feed.
a lot of people, 20 people all together, all the grandbabies and everything. And so, we're going to start with our little gratitude moment. What are you grateful for this year? And we'll start with you, Susie.
I'm grateful for my husband and my family. I was so happy to hear that caller talking about the family. I mean, we know that's the most important thing. Other people are connections. I recently just lost my mom, so it's very fresh, like a month ago. And
Sorry.
thank you. While I'm grieving, I'm really grateful for the amazing close relationship we had. And, while it's heartbreaking to lose someone, especially a parent, I think it's really important to remember all the good and the lessons. And my mom was somebody who really taught us about gratitude. She was a really grateful person. So since I was a child, she taught me to count my blessings. And during tough times in our lives, we all have tough times, she always tried to find the silver lining. So I'm trying to do that right now.
Yeah.
And you wrote a piece in Psychology Today about this, right? And, it was interesting. I could almost feel you wrestling in the piece with, how can I be grateful when I'm grieving? Like, is it even possible? Yes, it's possible. Here's how you do it. Like, can you guide people through your own battle with this?
Sure. I mean, I think lots of times, I've written about gratitude over the years, and sometimes I've had people say, well, you're lucky, you're healthy, you've written a book, you're, successful from however we describe successful. So people tend to look outwards at people and say, well, it's easy for them to be grateful. First of all, we never know what's going on with somebody. So, that's not a great thing to do. But now that I'm going through this, and I did a lot of research on it too, and it was interesting because, as I wrote in the article, gratitude and grief can coexist. And the researchers found that people who practice gratitude, it's kind of like a buffer. And it doesn't mean that it's going to get rid of the grief. Of course, like losing someone, I'm always going to be grieving my mom, but can help you get through it. And it can, help you manage the grief. Grief is complex, but we could get through it. You can become more resilient. And for me, to answer your question, Avi, while I'm sad, I hear my mom's voice and I hear her saying, you could get through this. Remember the good times. I'm thinking about lessons she taught me. And I'm also a very deeply faithful and spiritual person. Like, I know she's with God in heaven, and that gives me comfort. She had a long illness. She was suffering from a Parkinson's. So I know she's at peace. So those elements, and I think for other people going through grief, look at the moments you had with that person and really try to appreciate those moments you did have and the relationship. And again, you're still going to feel pain, but I think you can feel the pain and have moments of appreciation at the same time, and it lessens it a little bit.
Yeah. Quick follow-up question for you, Susie. I mean, for you, this is going to be your first major holiday without your mom. And I got to mention my sister-in-law just lost her mother a couple of weeks ago. And, this is the first big holiday, the first big gathering without this person. How do you make space for that for everyone? At a gathering when they used to have a seat and probably be like a centerpiece of that holiday.
Well, it's interesting you said that because James and I were talking about how we could honor my mom, and I'm happy my older brother and his wife are coming over and their son. We haven't spent the holidays with them, and we talked about we're going to tell stories about my mom and we're going to share happy moments. So we're looking forward to that tomorrow, instead of sometimes it can be like the elephant in the room and nobody says anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's worse. So I was like, why don't we celebrate mom? Come with stories. So that's what we're looking to do together.
I love that.
James, we're going to get to yours later because we got to get some more callers
Yes.
in. So keep yours locked and loaded, okay? I just want to read this one from Brosafan on YouTube, who we're thankful for, by the way. Shirley, one of our longtime listeners and commenters, says, each day in November, we have written one thing for which we are thankful on a colored paper leaf. Tonight, we will read each other's leaves and string them into a garland. I love that.
That's beautiful.
Line 3 now, we have Charisse from West Philly on the line. What are you thankful for?
Hi. I just wanted to call in because I'm most thankful for my new job. I work at a public library. I'm also a singer and a DJ, and I needed to take on an extra part-time job. So that's not always something that you want to do as a creative. because it takes time away from what you love to do and my passion. But working at this public library has been so fun. I love the staff, and I love being in service to the community.
Can we shout out which library it is? And I would love to give them a shout out.
I am talking about the Sharon Hill Public Library, and the director is Mr. Richard Ashby, and he's a great director. And all the staff, Miss Bentu, Shez Marley, as well as Trina. We just lock in, and we're mostly a new staff, and it's just been great.
What a blessing to have.
Shout out to Sharon Hill Library. I love that call. Thank you so much.
And by the way, if you want to participate in the conversation and share what you're grateful for or what you're maybe struggling with, you can give us a call, 888-477-9499. The email is studio2@WHYY.
Yeah, if you're finding it hard to be grateful this year, like that's still something we would love to hear.
Yeah, and we'll help you with that. And so, James.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's great to be here at this Thanksgiving Fest. And one of the things that's really powerful about gratitude is that it works in great times, and it works when times aren't so great. Yeah. And so one of the traditions that Susie and I have had since we got married is having my parents come from Ohio to join us and to join Susie's family. And so, as Susie just mentioned, her mother just recently passed. This year, my parents are in their 90s, and unfortunately, their health situation won't allow them to travel to join us. So it's kind of a double whammy for us. Yeah. And with that, we're really leaning into gratitude this year in some of the ways that Susie mentioned. Also, just being aware that gratitude, I think you mentioned the attitude of gratitude, right? Gratitude isn't something that you get the full benefit of if you just say, well, I'm grateful for it, boom, pass the turkey, right? It's something you really need to, I mean, we can all be grateful for turkey, but do pass it. You don't want the turkey to get cold. You don't want the turkey to get cold. But it's about really leaning into it and noticing, because gratitude can help us notice things that are good that we otherwise just don't realize, right? So with my parents, with the legacy of Susie's family, what is it about them that is still living in us? And noticing that and dwelling on that and sharing that with other people can really help to keep it alive.
Yeah, and sort of, it's so interesting because I know a lot of people do the going around. And like I said, in my family, we take it really seriously. And you would be so surprised, like, You learn so much about your family members when you ask them, what are you grateful for? And then you have to explain why. And you hear some of the struggles that you didn't even know they may have had. And even when we heard from that little 8-year-old who loved breakfast food, it's just so beautiful. Deborah on Facebook says that she's grateful for God waking me up this morning. Melinda on Facebook says, I'm thankful for my apartment. I'm thankful for access to clean water. So sometimes you have to start really small. If you're not used to this gratitude attitude, right? If that maybe, that's not something that was a default in your family.
You're not wired that way.
And like you're just like, whatever, the reality is, right? How do you sort of like find something, especially if you are struggling?
I think stopping for a moment is really important, and just look outside yourself. Sometimes we're so focused on ourselves and what we're lacking, but what that woman just wrote in for clean water, for something simple, for the sun coming out today, for having shelter over my head. I think the basic needs, because there's a lot of people in the world who don't even have those things that we take for granted.
Yeah, that is right.
Actually, I'm going to read this comment now from MJ, who I feel like MJ's mode of gratitude is really similar to mine, and this is kind of how I think, and this is one of the thoughts that comforts me when I'm feeling down, or sort of thoughts like this. MJ says, anyone who has read even just a little bit of history, there's my code word, understands that for the past century, our civilization has far, far exceeded previous civilizations. We have much more leisure time and creature comforts. We have plenty of food, warm clothing, and cozy homes. Personally, the appendix rupture I experienced at age 17 would have surely done me in, not to mention the dozens of infections I've had over the years that antibiotics easily cured. I was fortunate enough to be educated all the way up to the age of 18, and then by the grace of student loans and student grants, I managed to obtain a bachelor's degree and then a master's degree. I am permitted for the time being to express myself and to even criticize the government. All these things and much, much more are an absolute wonder if you appreciate your history. Yes. And that, look, there's we could still be critical of the times we're in and say, you know, this is insufficient, this is not enough. And we express plenty of skepticism on this show all the time. But it is useful sometimes to look back, for me, at the scope of history and think about all of the struggles we might have endured, if not for all of the advancements that we've made. And I'm curious if that is common, James and Susie, or I'm just kind of weird. That's just a weird comfort for me.
Well, I hope you're weird. I like weird.
But
we need to make it. We need to spread the weirdness. I mean, I think curiosity is such an important aspect of gratitude, and I think that oftentimes we're not grateful because we've lost our sense of curiosity. Yeah. So I totally agree with you that seeing things from a new perspective. I mean, just the fact that we're speaking right now.
Yeah.
Like, what are the chances that I can think a thought and then I move my throat and mouth in this weird way?
Sounds come out.
And sounds come out.
Like a million miracles all converging.
And your brain is like, oh, he's saying, like, these are wildly weird, unimaginable things, and yet they work.
The miracle.
And so being curious about that's one of the reasons why learning about our world, learning about history, learning about physiology, learning about the brain can really awaken a lot of gratitude in us.
By the way, if you want to tell us what you're grateful for, you can give us a call, 888-477-9499. You can email studio2@whyy.org. And if you're on Facebook or YouTube, keep those comments coming in the chat. I want to bring in Kate from New Jersey, who's on the line.
Hey,
Kate,
one of our regulars.
You're on Studio 2. What are you grateful for, friend?
Thank you. Two things. I'm grateful for the scientific knowledge of the fact that when stars explode, the dust becomes our planets. So we are all literally made of stardust.
That's beautiful.
I miss my parents, and I miss my wonderful husband, and I am grateful that everybody's just stardust. Also, I'm grateful for something different, which is that everybody is out of town and I can ride my bike as fast as I want.
Oh, the little things, Kate.
I take 60-pound dogs and they run alongside the bike attached. I've done this since I was 15 and I'm now way over 15, I can tell you. So if you want to see a video of what I looked like 30 years ago, it's the only video ever made of me. Go on YouTube. It's Kate, Decker, and Muffin, because I've done a lot of dog training.
Beautiful.
Anyway, thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Kate from New Jersey.
We are stardust. Joni Mitchell once said, and it's true. We are stardust.
I love it. I do wonder, though, and I want to ask this question because this Thanksgiving is a day where people come together, and sometimes it's family members you haven't seen for quite some time and you may not see for quite some time. How do you sort of make room for intentional moments and just make sure that, you know, you try to be intentional and connect with people? And if you have any tips for how to do that and just really make the most of this type of gathering, Susie.
I want to say James is especially good at that.
Oh.
And as I mentioned earlier, we tend to, when we have dinner parties, whether it's Thanksgiving or something else, we often build like a little program. Maybe that's because he's a professor. But we find in the beginning, I used to be like, I'm not sure about this, but it's been really powerful. I'll let him tell you a little bit about it. Because otherwise, sometimes, have you ever gone out with your friends and then you get home and you're like, I feel like no one really connected.
Yeah.
We
Totally.
just chit-chatted. We talked about the weather. It was nothing meaningful. So we tried to connect beforehand and say, what do we want to get out of this afternoon or this Thanksgiving? So I will throw it to you about tomorrow specifically.
Yeah, so a lot of times people don't quite know what to do when they're with other people, whether they're friends or people you don't see all that frequently. So planning a little bit beforehand can be really useful.
Yeah, I'm hosting.
So what your family does, like no turkey unless you listen up. So here we go.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of different ways in which you don't have to be that.
Incentives are good. I like incentives.
You want to eat.
Yeah. But one thing is having, for at least a time, one conversation around the table can be really good, because then everybody hears what everybody else is sharing. And so what everybody is grateful for, if they're sharing that, but you're not listening because you're talking about, pass the gravy, then you miss out on that. Yeah. And then after dinner, you were saying, Cherry, how you can, oh my goodness, I learned something about this relative that I didn't know before. After dinner, you can go up to them and say, hey, could you tell me more about what you were going through this year, right? And you can have a real authentic conversation, because what people, when they're authentically saying what they're grateful for, you can learn so much about them.
Yeah.
Why did they notice that? And what was that about? And then follow up with it and ask them more questions.
I love that. One conversation for a time.
Let's bring in another caller. This is Lynn from Huntington Valley on line 4. Hey, Lynn, you're on Studio 2. Would love to hear what you're grateful for.
Hi. Thank you for having me. Great show.
Thank you.
4 years ago, I was out on the town, Center City, and I had a heart attack. It was the Widowmaker, and luckily I was not at home or anywhere but 4 blocks or 3 blocks from Penn Medicine.
Wow.
And got incredible care, and the whole time I was thinking about my son, who was 16 at the time, and now he's 20, and he has high-functioning autism. And when I was getting my catheterization, I said to the nurses and doctors, I really can't die today. I really need a miracle, because this boy really relies on me. And so I've got a second chance. So I have to play more and have more fun and be grateful for every single day.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to make me cry, Lynn.
Lynn.
Thank you.
That was beautiful.
Appreciate that. I'll lighten it up. Not that we have to lighten it up, but that was beautiful. Allison on YouTube says, I'm grateful for my family and friends, but today I am specifically grateful that I live near the Italian market in South Philly and that I pre-ordered the pumpkin pie from Isgro's for Thanksgiving tomorrow. If you don't know, you should find out.
Yeah.
It's a great cookie pie cake shop right there on Christian Street in South Philly.
Yes, and I want to read a couple more comments. We have Patty from Marion who says, I am grateful for my family, but this year I am grateful for mammograms and early diagnosis. I went for my usual mammogram this past January and was stunned to be confronted with a biopsy, diagnosis of cancer, and then surgery and radiation. All of my doctors were amazing, and my treatment is over. I am cancer-free and so grateful for it all. Wow, Patty from Marion.
People do find, and this is a pattern you'll see. We did it. I think this popped up a little bit last year too, of like people finding gratitude in like really tough news, really low moments. And I guess in some ways I kind of get it. I feel like sometimes tragedy has a way of refocusing your priorities and making you grateful for things that you took for granted. We don't want tragedy, right? But I mean, you guys are nodding your head, James. I mean, that is, I got to imagine that's something that pops up for a lot of people.
Totally. Again, it's a matter of what you focus on, right? And so oftentimes we're just focusing on, what's in front of us and how do I get across the street and how do I, in our daily lives. And good events, challenging events have a way of getting our attention and refocusing us, right? Mm-hmm. And what we can do is then refocus on anger or frustration or disappointment, which aren't as helpful typically as refocusing, as these callers have been doing, on gratitude. I mean, we live in a city where there are teams of people just waiting. If you have a heart attack, if you have a cancer diagnosis, if you need a pumpkin pie.
They are ready.
What a city.
We're grateful for Philly.
I love it, Philly. By the way. And if you want to share what you are grateful for, the number to call is 888-477-9499. The email is studio2@whyy.org. And keep those comments coming on Facebook and YouTube. I want to ask you, if you have people that maybe you don't really get along with, and they're going to be at Thanksgiving, okay? And you might have to be sitting beside them, how do you sort of like use the gratitude attitude to sort of rebuild connection where connections may be broken or connections may be attenuated or not as strong as they used to be? How do you sort of flip your own mentality to sort of bring that person closer?
Well,
go ahead.
I'll jump in. So I think one of the things, just don't wait. Of course, it all depends on the nature of the relationship. But oftentimes, if you're seated next to somebody you're not crazy about, you're just kind of like, I hope they don't talk to me. I hope this goes away. You lean out. But don't wait. So ask them about themselves. Ask them, what's something exciting that happened to you this year? Mm-hmm. And so get the conversation going on something that is meaningful to them, right? And then, as you said earlier about your family, Jerry, that you learn things about people. Mm-hmm. And then you can help to take the conversation in directions that are also meaningful for you. But if you just try to avoid the situation, it's probably just going to be same old all over again.
Yeah. Just confront it head on and build those connections.
Susie, did you want to add anything?
Two quick things. I was going to say something similar to James. You could always ask them a question like, what was something you're really proud of in your life? Ooh. Or think back to like a childhood memory. When did you feel really joyful? Sometimes that opens people up. Maybe something happened in their life, and that's why you kind of think they're miserable now. But by taking them back to a time that was really happy, maybe like riding their bike on the street like that woman was talking about.
I know.
Get on YouTube,
Can I just do a quick follow-up to that?
Sure, go
So
ahead.
when I was many years ago, I had a roommate whose parents were not, they were having really tough time in their marriage. And we were going to go visit them, and my roommate was not looking forward to this. So I said to him, well, can we take them to a good place for them? And he's like, that'd be the Golden Corral. I'm like, all right, let's go to the Golden Corral. And can we ask them about a happier time in their life? Exactly what you were saying, Susie. So we took them to the Golden Corral, and we asked them about when they first met and those old days. We had a terrific dinner. They were laughing, enjoying each other. It was wonderful. We were grateful that it worked out that way. And so you can help, by your questions, you can help to steer people's attention toward happier times and happier conversations.
I love that.
We can use like our brain, like time zones. There's Work in Positive Psychology by Phil Zimbardo, and you could go backwards in time or maybe fast forward.
Yes.
So maybe in the moment you're not happy, but by going back
time transport.
Exactly.
And it changes the whole vibe and energy.
Exactly.
Well, we love the energy of this episode so far. Keep the comments and calls coming. 888-477-9499, studio2 at WHYY.org. We'll be right back on Studio 2. And welcome back to Studio 2 on WHYY. I'm Avi Wolfman-Arent.
And I'm Cherry Gregg. We're talking about gratitude this hour. With us are James Pawelski, professor and director of education at the University of Pennsylvania's Positive Psychology Center, and Susie Pileggi Pawelski, author of Happy Together and Love in Your Golden Years.
We've been hearing from you all hour. Keep those calls and comments coming. What are you grateful for this year? However big, however small, serious, silly, whatever. What are you grateful for this year? Tell us why. 888-477-9499. Email studio2 at WHYY.org. YouTube, Facebook, drop a comment in the chat. And I got to read this one.
I know.
I got to.
You got to.
From Rob, who says, I'm thankful for Studio 2.
Aww.
Seriously, it's a great show. And as a remote worker, I look forward to listening to these great conversations and occasionally sharing my thoughts. I always loved hearing Cherry do the breaks and was really happy to see her getting the star turn she deserves.
Aww.
Avi's okay. No, he said Avi's great too, blah, blah, blah. But wanted to shout out Cherry in particular. And Marisol, one of our favorite callers, by the way, also wanted to say that she was grateful for Studio 2. Thank you, Marisol and Rob.
Thank you so much. And by the way, let's bring in another caller. We had David from Upper Darby on the line. David, you're on Studio 2. What are you grateful for?
Hi, everyone. Hey, well, I wear a mala. It's 108, I'll call them prayer beads, but they're more gratitude beads for me. And basically, I start with, on a spiritual nature, Lao Tzu, Jesus, Krishna, et cetera, et cetera. Then I go on to my family members. Each one of them get a peace, love, health, and happiness. Then I kind of move on to myself and my health and obstacles removed. Then it's my apartment and my hot water and my stove and my refrigeration and the food. And then it's on to my life experiences. And by the time I'm done, I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Love that.
All right.
It's like
David
a physical
from Upper Darby.
object you can touch that allows you to...
And one beat at a time. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Let me read this comment from Bella in Landenberg, who says, I'm listening to you as I make apple pie for my family tomorrow. Lately, I have been very grateful for my foster cat, Charlene. And I think we have there's a picture.
Charlene is going to be a problem. Look at Charlene's face.
We love each other so much, and she is a great comfort to me. So thank you so much for sharing that picture of Charlene, Bella. And that relationship with pets is a huge one, and I could go on forever about that, but that is something that I've been so grateful for in the past too.
What a lovely thing, because they bring so much joy in people's lives. I want to sort of, because I know you have a new book, Susie, that specifically talks about relationships and how to keep relationships fresh. And, people sometimes take each other for granted. You've been together a long time and all that. So can you use this moment of gratitude to really maybe look at your partner or your other half and sort of refresh the gratitude attitude towards them? How do you do that?
Absolutely. First of all, I want to say James is my co-author, my amazing
I'm
husband.
I'm sorry.
So,
James, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
So one is to be grateful for your partner, whether you're married 10 years, 20 years, 40 years. Seriously, though, with loving your golden years, people tend to say golden years. I think it's 60 something, depending who you speak with. But what we found in the research and talking to real life couples, gratitude is the most important. Think about it.
Yeah.
It's kind of obvious when you just break it down. If you're not grateful for your partner, they're not going to feel good about it. Many of us might feel grateful, but we have to express it, because people want to be appreciated and acknowledged. And a lot of people end up breaking up because one partner doesn't feel that, their partner was appreciative. Maybe they were, but if we're not expressing it, and it's the little things, if we could do it on a regular basis. Some people wait for holidays like Thanksgiving. Okay, you think you should do it, but it's the little small things. Yeah. Just thank them for, making you that cup of coffee or cleaning up the house or taking care of the kids, when you're feeling really exhausted. You might want to mention gratitude with your parents since they've been married 60 some years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my mom just turned 91. My dad is 90. And they are exemplars of gratitude. Yeah. They have more and more doctor's visits these days, and the doctors love to see them because they come in.
They're like, welcome.
And are great. Exactly, totally. And one of the things that Susie and I like to think about gratitude as a dance, because it's really an interactive thing. And so, as Susie said, it's important to be aware of things that you're grateful for. It's important to express those things. It's also important to take those things in. And as we've given talks around the world, it seems like one of the things people oftentimes have trouble with is receiving gratitude. People will say, "Oh, you don't have to thank me. Oh, it's nothing.
Yeah,
oh, no,
totally.
no, right." But when you're expressing gratitude to someone else, you really want them to take it in, to savor it, to appreciate it. So one of the things, if I can offer a challenge, it won't be an assignment because these aren't my students who are listening today. But a challenge is tomorrow and throughout the year, focus not only on expressing gratitude, but think about how you can receive that gratitude in a gracious way that continues that connection, that continues that gratitude dance.
Yeah, because I tell you, sometimes people can't even accept compliments.
Right.
You're like, just say thank you.
Exactly.
It's okay. It's okay.
Totally.
Exactly.
We're so thankful for our callers this hour. Let's get to another one. Lincoln from Fishtown is on line 4. Hey, Lincoln, you're on Studio 2. What are you thankful for?
I am really thankful for how many people donated money for my stolen bike.
Oh wow. So someone stole your bike and then people donated money to get a replacement? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. How did you find people to donate, Lincoln? Was it like a community fundraiser? How did that work?
My mom decided to post on social media about my bike. And all of her friends and everybody started to donate money.
And
stuff.
So do you have a new bike now? Did you get a new bike, or are you about to get a new bike? What's
Yes.
the status? Yeah.
No, I have a new bike now.
What type? Describe the bike for us real quick
We
before
wanna
we
see this
let you go,
thing.
Lincoln. What type of bike is it? What color?
You mean the one that got stolen?
No, the new one.
Oh, the new one? It's this company called Mafia Bikes. I have a 27.5 Bomber, and I really love it.
All right. Thank you,
Lincoln
Lincoln.
from Fishtown got a new bike thanks to crowdfunding. That's a pretty
really
cool thing.
And like thankful for community, really. And I got to read this comment on the heels of that, because Mara says, I'm grateful for the neighborhood volunteer groups that I'm a part of. With my local PHS Tree Tenders group, we planted about 75 new street trees in Manayunk, Roxborough, and Wissahickon this month. Being a part of a group of committed, caring, like-minded citizens has been grounding and inspiring. It reminds me that we are powerful and we don't have to wait for others to give us permission to make the world a better place. Lincoln and Mara just talking about like the power of feeling like the people around you support you and you can do great things together. Even if they seem kind of small, they are powerful and they are great. And I'm curious for your guys' reaction to both of those comments.
Absolutely. These are just beautiful stories, and they're important. Again, what are we focusing on? And sometimes it's easy, news headlines and things going on in the world, and you get kind of wrapped up in that, and you think, oh my goodness, human beings, like what's wrong with us, right?
Yeah.
And then a kid has his bike stolen, and what is the story? The story is the neighborhood, the friends come together and are like, no, this kid needs to have a new bike, right? Let's do this, right? Or there are, people who are saying, well, trees are dying. What are we going to do about it? Well, no, we're going to get together and we're going to plant some trees. So that kind of agency, that kind of seeing what needs to be done good in the world, finding some people to do it with, like that's what human beings, I think. That's what we're about. That's
and there is a negative news
Yeah.
bias that can percolate, and fighting against that from time to time, I think, is so important. And, we're trying to do a little bit on the show today because sometimes our mind can linger on the negative. There's plenty of negative out there. And sometimes you got to remind yourself, I feel like, Susie, just like, that's not the only thing that's happening with humanity right now. There's the human story is so diverse and includes lots of great moments too.
Exactly. I think community is key to well-being. We can be optimistic when we think, what are my strengths? And what are the strengths of the community? And how can we come together to build a better place and look towards the future? I think too, comparison is really bad.
Yes. And social media.
That's another side of social
compare,
media.
Yes.
I think I love this saying. It was attributed, I believe, to Roosevelt, but comparison is the thief of joy. Once I start looking at my neighbor at she's better at this or, more attractive or smarter, that's really bad because now we're focusing on lack rather than what we have. And I like to say, we say to our 15-year-old son, you all have unique strengths. And I'm talking about things like leadership or a strong sense of gratitude or social intelligence. What is your strength? And how can you do good with that and like build a better community rather than looking at, external, skills or how, smart you are or how, you might have perfect pitch. All that stuff is great, but we all have inherent qualities. And together we can do good with that.
Yeah, let's bring in another caller. We have Kimberly from Collingswood on the line. Kimberly, you're on Studio 2. What are you grateful for?
I moved here 13 years ago and opened an art gallery in Collingswood. I don't have any immediate family. And for 12 years, I ran the gallery, and I had a fabulous time. Some of my customers became good friends. I watched people date, get married, have kids, know their kids. And I just closed last Saturday on my mother's anniversary, my mother's birthday. And so I'm just really grateful. I had a fabulous time, and I'm getting ready to start my second retirement.
All right.
Awesome. That's awesome.
And good luck in the next chapter, Kimberly from Collingswood.
Great run for the art gallery in Collingswood.
What a great run. By the way, if we only have a few minutes left in the show, but if you want to squeeze in what you're grateful for, the number to call is 888-477-9499. The email is studio2@whyy.org. James, I want you to give people some language because some people are like, I don't even know where to start. How do I even, get around to like, telling somebody, oh, I'm so grateful for you. I don't even know. That sounds corny. That sounds whatever. Like, how do you sort of like even convince yourself to sort of lower those defenses a little bit we can start the conversation. Here's a couple sentences you can use to sort of get it rolling. Give some folks some tools.
Yeah. So again, I think it really starts in authenticity, in noticing, in curiosity, in just thinking about the other person, and not, again, falling into those habits of taking things for granted, right? So if you starting there, things will come naturally, I think. If you need a kind of a jump start, you can fall back on the, saying thank you, saying, we learn these things as a kid, and sometimes we often say them without feeling them. But if we notice things to be thankful for, then that puts the feeling into the words. So as we're expressing that gratitude, don't be afraid to use those very simple language, infusing it with meaning. And then, as you said, Cherry, on the other side, when somebody's trying, maybe they're elegant, maybe they're not, just say thank you. Yeah. Look them in the eye and say thank you. I really appreciate you saying that. And then you can begin to have more conversation, follow up the conversation on the topic that one person brought up. Because again, it's really interesting what it is that people notice to be grateful for. There's so many things to be grateful for. There's like an infinite number of things to be grateful for. What is it about that one thing that stood out to somebody and they're bringing that up? You can really have terrific conversations with curiosity diving into that topic.
Can I jump in real quick? Just to follow up what James said, I think it's important to notice the person's quality or their action. So like I know when James helps me with projects, instead of just saying thank you, I might say, I really appreciate your analytical mind or your thoughtfulness.
Not a generic thank you, but a little totally.
Because then people feel, how good is it? Everybody wants to feel seen. So if he's realizing I'm thanking him for his analytical mind, he's like, wow, that's like authentically who I am, right? Yeah. And then he's using that skill or that quality to help me. It's more authentic.
Yeah. We're getting toward the end of the hour. Let me read this comment from Deb, who says, my teenager is transgender, which is incredibly challenging in today's political climate. I am so very grateful for being a part of 2 local support groups that are for parents of transgender children. We can laugh, we can cry, we can share our fears, and we can celebrate trans joy. It helps me get through tough times. Let's bring in Elizabeth from Bethlehem on line 3. Elizabeth, you're on Studio 2. We're a little short on time, but real quick, what are you thankful for?
I'm just grateful for the realization that it's never too late. I know a lot of women are in my position where a long-term marriage ends after nasty, awful stuff, and it's never too late. I now have the grace and friendship back of my family and friends who had kind of disappeared because of the way this relationship worked. And to be allowed to start my life over and be healthy enough to enjoy it, I'm just so grateful for that. And rebuild relationships with my kids. It's awesome. It's never too late.
I'm so glad you're on the other side of that, Elizabeth. And real quick now on line 5, Cheryl from East Falls. We're really tight on time, but I think Cheryl's got a quick one. Cheryl, what are you thankful for?
Hi, I'm really grateful for the Friends of the Wissahickon organization, which has given me a chance to show the park to other people and to take care of the park. And through the Friends of the Wissahickon, I've met wonderful people that care about our environment and who love nature.
Thank you.
Thankful for nature, even the great nature that exists right here.
So beautiful.
In the great city of Philadelphia. So we have to wind it down now, but I want to thank our guest, James Pawelski, Professor and Director of Education at the University of Pennsylvania's Positive Psychology Center, and Susie Pileggi Pawelski, author of Happy Together and Love in Your Golden Years. Thank you so much for doing this again this year. And just like last year, man, it was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. We had a great time. Thank you.
And by the way, I got to take a moment and say happy birthday to my mom, who listens to the show every single day. So happy birthday. And I'm grateful for you as well. I want to say thank you to our producers. We're all grateful for our entire Studio 2 team. I'm grateful for you.
I'm grateful for you.
Thanks to Debbie Builder, Andreas Copes, Hazel May Bryan. Thanks to Mike Schiffler, our visual producer, to Al Banks, to Tina Calicay, who engineered today's show. Our executive producer is Kevin McCory. Joan Isabella is our Studio 2 general manager from Studio 2 here at WHYY in Philadelphia. I'm Cherry Gregg.
And I'm so thankful for my family.
Yeah, me too.
I love you guys.
Jamie,
I'm Avi Wolfman-Arent, and we will talk to you next week. And tomorrow at noon, no Studio 2. Tune in for a special Thanksgiving broadcast called The Turducken. 3 stories stuffed deliciously inside each other. Not sure how that's going to work, but it will happen tomorrow at noon.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be good. And Studio 2 will be back Monday with a conversation about the Philadelphia Police Department's record homicide clearance rate a few years ago. Less than half of the murders in the city were solved, and now 90% are. Join us for that conversation on Monday. Coming up next is Here and Now.